Hey guys, Kev here. I want to do my first impressions on the Chris Reeves large Inkosi. This is the Insingo blade with the natural micarta inlays. I believe this is one of the ones that's pretty sought after. I do have my LaCroix here, coconut, my fave. I have been trying to hunt down a couple that people have told me about. Shout out Backpack B, recommending the apricot and the pear. Haven't found them, man. I'm trying hard. But yeah, so this was loaned in to me by a buddy named nicknamed Big Sexy. Now he nicknamed himself that, so it kind of begs some questions. But anyway, well, as I stab myself with his knife. Yeah, so I have had the pleasure of unboxing this. I've had the pleasure of disassembling it, actually, because it had an ass ton of lock stick. So, like, right after I did the unboxing, and I'll admit, I was raving in that unboxing, thinking I might buy one and all this stuff. I mean, I don't know what I was on that day. Literally turned the camera off, and I go to send him a video saying, hey, man, I got it, and it looks good. And I'm sitting there flicking it, bang, it just starts having all this lock stick. And I'm like, what is going on? So I'm like, check it, and there's play, right? There's still the tiniest bit right now, but, and then I had a live stream that weekend, or it could have been that day for all I know. And I took it apart on the live stream, instead of doing it on video here, it just, because it felt so bad with that lock stick, and I wanted to just figure it out. So I take it apart, which was hard. I don't know what the deal is, if it's just this knife here or if it's this design in general. Because I had a small Sebenza 31 and that was like, came right off with the Allen key, bang, you're good. This was like you had to put both of them in on each side, and then you have to like turn it a certain way, have it in a certain amount. Like it was just a super pain in the ass. Finally got it apart. And then you find out there's these ginormous washers. Like, look how ugly that is. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's ugly to see these giant phosphor bronze washers just like sitting there on your stop pin. Like, I don't know, to me that just looks out of place, looks fugly. So anyway, I get it apart and whatever, and it took a while to get back together too. I don't know, that was probably me being an idiot, so I take credit for that. But it just kind of sucked, and I put the grease on that they give you, so now it's all hydraulic and glassy. It's not glassy, it is hydraulic though, which means it has a tight pivot, but it's still smooth. That's literally what hydraulic means. It doesn't mean good. Just saying. So anyway, my experience taking it apart kind of sucked. All right, now, first impressions wise, what do I think of the Inkosi large, right? Well, ergonomically, it's okay, but I don't really like all the cutouts. I think this is kind of a hit or miss situation. Like, some people, it's going to fit their hand perfectly, and they're going to be like, yeah, this is my jam, right? For me, it's like, okay, a couple fingers fit okay. This finger kind of pinches right here a little bit. And then being left-handed, now they do make a lefty, so I gotta, be careful here, so I'll talk right-handed, I guess. It's better right-handed. Fits pretty well, actually. That clip gets me in the palm a little bit, but it's not crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot better right-handed, honestly. I don't know what it is about it left-handed, but I get kind of poked by this, like, right in the palm when I squeeze down. If I do that right-handed, I don't feel that. So I don't know if they designed, it doesn't look different on either side, so maybe it's just my hand, but this does fit fairly well. I do think, personally, after handling this, I would prefer a large Sebenza. I'm still contemplating it, but I don't think they make Sebenzas in different blade shapes, and if they do, I don't think they do it for lefties. So trying to find a large Sebenza double lug with a Tanto is going to be tough. And then, going in, I thought I would really want black micarta inlays, but the more I've handled this, the more I hate it. I do not like how thick this knife is because of these inlays. Like, they're not even inlays, they're onlays. They make the knife like substantially wider than it used to be. So I would prefer a plain Jane if I got one. So you can see now where we're starting to have a lot of, if I did this, it would need to be this. It would literally have to be like the perfect Sebenza that came along. You know, a left-handed Tanto large Sebenza 31, right? I don't even know if that exists. Would I get the drop point? Yeah, I'd probably get it. What do I think of the Insingo blade? Well, I don't really like it. You know, I get it. It's kind of a sheep's foot, but I don't really see... I guess, what is the point? You have a drop point, essentially, that has a tip that's lower down, so you can get into things a little easier than you would with a drop point. What do I have with a drop point? Here, I have a Nomad frame lock from Asher. So, your tip is down a little lower, you know, essentially. That's really the only difference I see. I mean, maybe a little less belly because that tip doesn't go up to the tip. It's a little flatter going out. But that's about it when it comes to advantages over the drop point. Now, what about a Tanto? Do I have any Tantos? Shit, I may not have any Tantos. All right, let's start with the Warren Cliff. So here's a Warren Cliff. Guys, this MBK slayback is an absolute... just hidden gem. If they were available when I recorded this, go get one. $200. You get titanium. Why am I doing this in a video for something else? Titanium, right, frame or scales with an inset liner lock. Works both left and right really well. Great clip. ZDP 189 steel on the edge, jacketed by 420J. This is at 66 to 67 HRC. Pretty goddamn stain resistant. I've had this in the ass juice pocket and it's held up. It is ridiculous action. I mean, if you want to spend $200, that is the way to do it. Anyway, Warren Cliff. What do I prefer? Well, I think I prefer the Warney. The only reason I don't normally prefer Warneys is because they ugly. So, like, that's why I love a reverse Tanto. Because it's essentially a Warney, but it looks cooler. Right? Now, this Warney's sexy as all hell, so that's a bad example. But normally, Warneys stink. And I love a reverse Tanto, right? So there's that. I'm trying to think. How do I not have a Tanto right now? I have a lot of things out on loan, and I'm kind of the Tanto guy. So, like, know what I'm saying? I really don't think I have a single Tanto blade. I'm going to... Alright, you know what? I have one, but it's a little silly, and it's not mine. The Norseman. How did that lube get all the way up there? The hippopotamus. I can't believe it. That's the only knife I have here? God, you gotta be kidding me. What was I just looking at? Was the Mako? Nope, that's not a Tanto. Yeah, I'm going to stop looking. I have nothing else. That's crazy. I need some Tantos. What about in my pocket? Nope, Warney. And, oh my God, guys. Talk about being in love. Anyway. So here's a Tanto, right? So you have... basically, a Tanto is normally more of a straight edge to a tip. And then kind of like either a straight line or a belly up to another tip, right? What do I prefer? Well, I prefer the Tanto because you have a tip up there for whatever you need, right? Penetration-wise, that kind of shit. Then you have this tip, which is awesome for like getting into packages and such, and that's basically what this tip is good for. So you essentially have the good tip down here, and then you get another one, right? Whereas this one just has the one. I love Tantos, guys. So anyway, I know I've done a horrible job of explaining the blade shape on this, but it's not for me. It's cool though. I get it. To me, it just looks like a weird drop point, like they messed up a drop point or something. Action. So yeah, I mean, you're just gonna get a slow roll here. Flicking it, it seems like eventually, if I keep flicking it, that lock stick comes back. So it must be moving the pivot or something, because you know, they tell you not to flick them. They're not supposed to be flicked. Well, you know, it's a knife. I don't know. That whole argument just bothers me, but whatever. I did not Loctite it once I cleaned it because it's not my knife, and it had so much I mean, I showed it in the live stream. It was literally gallons of Loctite everywhere on this thing. So I just left it clean, and Big Sexy can do whatever he wants when he gets it back. So it may loosen up a little bit as I have it, but that's fine. That is a thing with Sebenzas or with CRKs. They do loosen. And that, you know what? That's how a lot of knives are. You have to Loctite a lot of knives. That used to bother me a lot after I had my small Sebenza, because that was the most money I'd ever spent on a knife at that point. And it was like, wow, I gotta Loctite this $375 knife. Well, turns out you gotta Loctite $600 knives, you know? So not a big deal. Yeah, I don't know what else to really talk about. I mean, we could do the cutting. I don't know how much he's used this, and you guys know I suck at this, so let's just go for it. Yeah, this thing might need a sharpening. Oh. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm better at, like, the feel test, and this feels okay. It feels pretty sharp, whereas when I cut stuff, I tend to suck at it. So let's stab and slice and see what happens. Yeah, I mean, it's not fantastic, but it's still cutting. I would say that was half me, half the knife, right? I can admit that. So yeah, first impressions of the Chris Reeve knives, large Inkosi right-handed Insingo with natural micarta inlays. It's alright. I mean, it's just another knife. It's definitely different in the sense that you're not going to be flicking it. If you're playing with it, right? I know a lot of people in the comments are going to say, I got mine tuned and I flicked the shit out of it and whatever. Okay, great. But you know what? These knives are kind of meant to be done like this, slow rolled. And you know what? There's a lot of people who like to have a knife or two in their collection maybe that do that. I don't know many knives that are just like slow roll knives. And that's partially because I don't seek them out. So there could be a whole category of knives out there made just like this, right? Like Rocksteads, I think. So, you know, it is what it is. It's not for me exactly. I don't think I'm going to go hunt one down now that I've had time to think. But it's obviously built well. It's very sturdy. It has a nice blade on it. Now, Big Sexy tells me it has the perfect heat treat because, you know, Chris Reeve invented it. You know, he may have helped invent S35BN. I get that. And maybe S45. But he didn't invent the heat treat. I don't think his S35 or their S35BN is treated any better than another company that does it well. I'm not saying you can't fuck it up, right? I'm just saying I've had knives like, say, this right here. Asher Nomad Frame Lock S35BN. The blade on this is absolutely fantastic. Has held up extremely well. That edge retention has been fantastic. And I think that company, that OEM, nailed the heat treat on these, right? They do a lot of S35BN, so it makes sense. So funny going from that to this, because now I'm like, yeah, flicks. So, you know, I just don't think that's an argument. But anyway, if you love Chris Reeve knives and you love this knife, I get it. I totally get it. You've been brainwashed. No, I'm just joking. It's a good knife. It's a good knife, especially if you are either a kind of like collector guy who doesn't use your knife a lot, or you're a heavy use guy who does use his knife a lot. There's a lot of categories this knife does fall into. Because it's expensive and also a kind of work knife, you know? So, anyway, I'm going to shut up. I appreciate you guys listening to me rant and rave as usual. Some nonsense. School me in the comments, everybody. Tell me how Chris Reeve just freaking invented the oven and invented iron ore and all this shit. I love you all, seriously. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will catch you later.